Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Dhukarastvandhakaro vai Rukarastanivartakaha Dhakara nirodhitvad Gururitya vidhiyate. We chant the second verse. Brahmaivahamidam jagatcha sakalam Chinmatra vistaritam Sarvam chaitada vidyaya trigunaya Sesham maya kalpitam Itham yasya drudamatis sukhatare Nitye pare nirmale Chandalostu satudvijostu guru Ityesha Manisha mama. Brahma eva aham. Brahma eva aham. I am Brahman and nothing else, meaning that I am not a jiva. Although that is the notion I have been entertaining about myself whole of my life. By default, I have been always calling myself a jiva, meaning one is subject to birth and death, one who is controlled by the various laws, the one who feels helpless in life because I cannot get what I want. Very often, I cannot avoid what I don't want. I don't want many things, I cannot avoid them. I want many things, I cannot get them. And this is how I feel. This is what I think I've been. Brahmaivaham. Then the teacher helps me to understand who I am. That yes, there is birth, there is death, there is limitedness, there is dependence, no doubt about that. But dependence at the level of this body, that is dependent. And so, yes, body is dependent and therefore is in need. Mind also may be needy. But I am not that. I am the witness of the mind. The body is my place of residence. Mind is the instrument with which I do various things. So body is given to me for my residence as a costume. Mind and sense organs are given to me to perform various, communicate with the world. organs of perception, I receive the stimuli, organs of action, I give out the stimuli. So this is the purpose for which all of this is given to me. Unfortunately, I've been thinking that this costume I am, therefore I have this sense of limitedness. So the teacher enables, helps me to recognize this fact that, hey, eyes are that with which you see with the help of eyes, you hear with the help of ears, you act with the help of your hands and walk with the hands of legs, help of legs. So they are all your instruments. Like the tools of a carpenter. How a carpenter has a big box of tools. He brings that to the place where he has to work and opens the box and all tools are out and he performs his functions. Then he is called carpenter. And at the end of the day, he places the tools back in the box. He's no more he's now a human being. He's not a carpenter now. He's a father. He's, Carpenter is when he's functioning, performing a certain function with the help of his tools. So we also open our toolbox in the morning. At night, the toolbox is closed. The mind, the sense organs of perception, organs of action, all of these are placed in the toolbox. In the morning, I wake up, open the toolbox, organs of action, organs of perception, mind, and then I start doing various functions with the help of these tools. At night again I place them back in the box. So what is my relationship with mind and the sense organs? Similar to the relationship that a carpenter has with his tools. Is it not so? The carpenter starts saying that I am a chisel, I am a hammer and stuff like that. It would be ridiculous, but that's what we are doing. So, this Jivatma I am not. Limitations are there, but they are not where I think they are. There are limitations in body, no doubt about that. Limitations in sense organs, limitations in mind, nobody will dispute that. But not limitation in I. All limitations are projected upon I, transferred upon I, superimposed upon I. I am not this body because several times, often I call this body as my body. Go to a doctor, I say my hand and my head and my stomach. That time clear that the stomach I am not, head I am not, hands I am not, body I am not. No sooner that examination is over, I start saying, I am the body. But sometimes I show the wisdom that body is mine, I am not the body. The mind is mine. Don't come near me this morning, my mind is not in the right place, don't come near me. I know that mind is mine, I am not the mind. So sometimes I show that wisdom. And I come back to my old habits. So this is what Vedanta teaches, that just you own up who you are. You are the witness of all of this. You are the one who enlivens this. You are the consciousness, enlivens the body, enlivens the sense organs, enlivens the mind. It is in your presence that all of these things function. In fact, you don't even do anything. Things are all done by the body, by the sense organs. Not by the self. In my presence, everything gets done. I am actionless, changeless, free from modification, free from all the changes. Brahmevaham. Thus, I am without the boundaries, Brahma, limitless I am. Idam jagat sakalam chinmatra vistaritam. If I am Brahman, the non-dual, limitless, what is the status of this jagat? Chinmatra vistaritam. It is superimposed upon the chit or consciousness. Or consciousness has projected it, or is projected, superimposed upon consciousness. Meaning Jagat is not real. Some argument is done here that we find that there is a consistency in our dealings in the day-to-day life. I see the same camera consistently. If camera was unreal, then how come I see every day? If table is unreal, how come I see it every day and use it every day? Meaning that the entities in this world show consistency. Mithya, should it not mean that today it is table, tomorrow is something else? Should it not be? Isn't that how mithya should be? But here, this is how we think everything is real because it's consistent. So Vedanta says consistency is not the criterion to determine the reality. In fact, they say what is consistent is mithya. What is useful is mithya. We think that table is useful, therefore it is real. Vedanta says the table is useful because Atma is not useful. Brahman is not useful. Does not come into play at all. Doesn't do anything. Doesn't listen to anything. Does not see anything. Does not think of anything. It just is. The Atma is of no practical use. Our body is of practical use, sense organs are practical use, mind is of practical use to do all my day-to-day activities. Atma is of no practical use. So these things should be called real. Is it not that they are useful? This entity is not useful at all. It says no, usefulness does not determine the reality of thing. What changes cannot be real, the real remains changeless, and only Atma, the consciousness, the self remains ever the same. This is drashta, this is drishyam. And drishyam is that which is object of knowledge, which is always changing. Idam jagatcha sakalam chinmatra vistaritam. Jagat is nothing but a projection upon consciousness, or consciousness has projected this Jagat. Sarvam chetat avidya trigunaya asesham maya kalpitam. He makes a radical statement, I am the creator of this Jagat. This wise person says, maya kalpitam, this world is created by me. For in Vedanta, what is creation, Creation means something similar to rope snake. Creation means projection. There is no such thing as creation, Vedantin says. What do you mean no? This part is created, is it not so? This part is created from clay. Is it not so? People hesitate to answer a simple question. What is created from clay? So what was this thing before its creation? Lump of clay. When you see the lump of clay, then you know what clay is. When you see this part, do you recognize clay or not? Because you have seen it earlier. So here also you recognize clay. So you know that clay part is the same. There is no change in the clay aspect of this entity because it was clay earlier, clay now also. Then what is it? What is created? Pot is created. What is pot? Name and form is pot. So clay plus name and form is pot. Clay plus name and form is pot, right? So pot minus clay. Now you see the equation A plus B is equal to C. So C minus B should be equal to A. So clay plus name and form is pot. So pot minus clay should be equal to name and form. Isn't it so? If you got the point, you say that the clay plus name and form is pot. So pot minus clay, take away clay from this, what should remain? Name and form should remain. Does it remain? No. Anyway, so when you start with the wrong equation, it's not pot plus name and form. A plus can be when apples and apples can be added, apples and oranges cannot be added. So clay and name and form can be added, but they enjoy the same degree of reality. But clay is real, name and form are projected, unreal. So you can't add them really. I give you the equation, but then clay upon which name and form is superimposed is called pot. The pot minus clay, superimposition is just an appearance, not a reality. Meaning that the name and form is just an appearance, not a reality. Potness is appearance. Why? Because take away clay from the entity, what remains? Nothing. Okay, no further confusion, but this is just to give you a little taste of creation. This is the nature of creation. That's what Vedanta says. And therefore, the second line of verse says, Saram chedat avidya trigunaya maya kalpitam. The wise person says that the whole universe is kalpitam, projected by me with the help of ignorance, with the help of maya. So I am real, everything else is kalpitam, projected, mithya. Projected is that which can be negated. Projected means it's a kalpana. So dream is a projection, so then you can wind up. Waking I cannot wind up, but dream I can. And therefore what is really is nothing but I, because I plus creation becomes what? I. I plus creation is a big thing, is it? No, because it is like clay plus name and form. Name and form are mithya, the creation is mithya, therefore I consciousness plus creation remains only consciousness. If I am in a big hall with 500 mirrors, fitted in the hall, I go walk in the center of the hall, then a whole universe is created. The universe of Swami is created. Then how many are there? 500. So now I want a cup of tea. How many cups of tea would you need? 500. You count Swamis. 500 and plus 1. So you need 501 tea cups. How many cups of tea would you need? Why one? That's called appearance. It's called mithya. So when I drink tea, all these other Swamis have to drink tea. I lift my hand, they have no choice. One of them will protest, I will not lift my hand. Will it? No. They are totally dependent upon me. If I lift my hand, all reflections will have to lift their hand, because that's the characteristic of mithya. It's totally dependent reality. I, who is image, is independent reality. So this whole universe is like that, all dependent reality. It won't go into our head really, all this, because that, how can you call the tree as mithya, Swamiji? The tree was there yesterday, it is there today, it will be there tomorrow. Even when I was not there, the tree was there, and I will not be, the tree will be there. How can you call it mithya? But being there itself is not the criterion for it being satyam. Because when I go to sleep, the whole universe doesn't remain. I negated the whole universe. Even waking also you can do. While waking, you can slowly and slowly withdraw your attention from the Jagat and focus upon your sense organs. From there you can, withdraw to your mind. From that you can withdraw to your intellect. From there you can withdraw to yourself. Tree cannot say, hey, I will not go away. I say, hey tree, you are not there in my mind. I can just let it out. That is why the teacher says that all the world does not create duality. All there is I alone. Third line, ittham yasya duramati sukatare nitye pare nirmale. What's the nature of Brahman that I am? Third line says, sukatare nitye pare nirmale. All of seventh case, Sukhataram. Sukham, happiness. Tara, sukhi, so sukhatara, more happy, more happiness. Sukhatare, sukhatame. That is of the nature of happiness. Otherwise, who is interested in Brahman may be limitless and great, so what do I have to do with it? Even Bhagavan also we would not be interested. But the most interesting aspect to us about Bhagavan and Brahman is, it is Sukham. Understand, happiness is our goal of life. Not consciousness, not Bhagavan, not Ishvara, no, we are interested only in happiness. Thank God that Bhagavan happens to be happiness. Otherwise Bhagavan will have, not much importance. It will be only intellectual. Bhagavan means happiness. What I am searching for. Nitye pare nirmale, sukhatare nityam sukham. Not just sukham happiness, nityam sukham. The eternal happiness. Nitya means that which is avinashi, that which does not suffer distraction is called nityam. What will not suffer distraction? That which is not born. Because whatever is born will perish. Something can be imperishable only when it is not born. Happiness can be imperishable only when this happiness is not born. So this happiness is somewhat different from happiness that we experience. So you have this Puranapoli, happiness, you have Shikhand, happiness, Kulfi, happiness. How long is that? As long as Kulfi is there, as long as Shikhand is there, as long as Puranapoli is there. That is gone, happiness also is gone. Meaning that happiness coming from anything other than myself is always a limited happiness because it has a beginning and there is an end. Anityam sukham. Happiness that experience is anitya or perishable, changing, mortal. Nitye pare nirmale. The nature of the self or Brahman is nityam. The I is never born, therefore I never dies. So this sukham is something which is eternal. That's why sahajananda, sahaja means that is spontaneous, unborn. Sahaja is not born with this, unborn. This happiness is birthless and therefore deathless, and therefore is natural, spontaneous, self-effulgent, self-existing. Who am I? I am happiness. What kind of happiness? Unborn happiness, undying happiness, of the nature of happiness, eternal happiness. Thank you, Swamiji. That is far from what I experience. But that is because our attention is always on something other than ourselves, and we are looking at something like this as a source of happiness. But if I now pay attention to myself, if I focus attention to myself, in fact, when this entity gives me happiness, so this morning I was told, Swamiji, today in lunch we are going to have Purana Poli. The morning I was told. So then whole morning went in Purana Poli, Purana Poli, Purana Poli. And so my mind was quite agitated because of that desire. When Purana Poli came, then my mind became tranquil because the desire was satisfied, and therefore mind became free from desire. So what is happiness? Happiness also is accompanied by freedom from desire. As long as desire is there, craving is there, so long my mind is always running out. Craving is gone, desire is gone, the mind becomes tranquil, mind becomes centered upon the self. So what the Purana Poli has done is, it has brought my mind back to myself. In the craving for Purana Poli, my mind was always thinking of that other than myself. When it came, so the thought of Purana Poli made me happy. Priyam. It came in my plate, happier. Moda. I am Brahmananda, Pramoda. I think that Ananda came from Purana Poli. If Purana Poli gives me Ananda, then all I need is to stock Purana Poli. Second Purana Poli, same Ananda. Third Purana Poli, same Ananda. Fourth Purana Poli, same Ananda. Is it so? It is a law of diminishing return. Every Purana Poli, the Ananda diminishes, and a time will come when all Purana Poli will come out if I keep on stuffing in my stomach. If Purana Poli's nature is happiness, it must always give me happiness. And give you also happiness. And there are some who don't care for it also. I pity them, but there are. There are some who don't like sweets. I said, God bless you. But all these thinking, little bit deliberation helps us to understand. Happiness cannot be outside of myself. Then Swami, why do you go for this? Because I am not going to experience happiness of myself, therefore we are dependent. So Vedanta says, hey, do such that you experience your own happiness. How do you do that? Purify your mind. Make your mind free from raga dvesha. Make your mind free from impulse. Nitye pare nirmale. Make your mind, this is of course the qualification of Brahman, but make your mind nirmalam. Make it free from anger, free from resentment, free from jealousy, free from greed, free from all these demoniac tendencies. That's all we need. And then the mind becomes tranquil, abiding in myself. Then I need not make a separate effort to be happy. Because when the mind abides in the self, it experiences happiness which is its own nature. So what these entities do is to help us bring the mind to ourselves. As long as it can do, so long I experience happiness. But it has its own limitation. And so, diminishing utility, then mind again goes out. Therefore, Itham yasyudramati sukhate nitye pare nirmale. Recognize that sukham is your happy, is your nature. All you need to do is to make the mind free. Next verse we'll see, free from all these agitations, free from rajoguna, free from tamoguna. Make the mind sattvic. Swami, how to do that? How to make our mind sattvic? That's why Lord Krishna prescribes Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga means whatever activities we do from morning till evening, remember that it is my privilege to do this action. And let the world be happy, let the society be happy, let the world be happy with what I do. Meaning that I offer this for the well-being of the cosmos. Meaning that I do not need or want any reward from what I am doing. But Swami, you will need at least some visibility, some appreciation, something. So, Lord Krishna says, perform your actions without expectation of any reward. Money is not the only reward. Recognition also is a reward. Visibility is a reward. Appreciation is a reward. Swamiji, I worked so hard. We had 8 guests this evening, and they ate very well and went away. Didn't even utter a word as to how my food was good. So some expectation is there that when I work so hard, the people should have some minimum courtesy to say food was good. When they don't, so I get disappointed. So when we get disappointed after doing something, understand that there was some expectation. Swami, we get disappointed very often. That means some expectations are there. Which is good, we learn our mind about slowly, not in your place of work, but at least at home. Swami, if I start doing that, then once you do that, but don't let the world know that you are doing this without expectation. Outwardly, you act in the same way that everybody else does. That's what Lord Krishna advises Arjuna. When you go out in the world and work with other people, you will find that all of these fellows are self-centered naturally. And their enthusiasm comes from the expectation of fulfillment of the desires or whether working so hard. You also work that hard, same enthusiasm, but without the desire for personal reward. With the desire, intention of making offering through your karma. That is the way to purify the mind. If you perform action and expect a reward, we are where we were. Perform action to make someone else happy, and that is what makes our mind, brings about the purification of mind. Nitye pare nirmale, because self is nirmala. You are pure, therefore mind also should be in alignment with all, in harmony with the self. Pujya Swami used to say that you cannot love, you cannot expect love through the corridor of hatred. You cannot expect to be happy through the corridor of sorrow. So mind should be relatively peaceful, relatively happy, relatively pure. To know Brahman that is absolutely happy, absolutely pure. one who has accomplished this, Chandalastu Satudvijastu Guru Ityesha Manisha Mama. That person is my Guru, regardless of what his birth is, what his social status is. So this is the elaboration of the Mahavakya Aham Brahmasmi. First was Prajnanam Brahma. This one is Aham Brahmasmi. Some commentators try to fit Brahmavakya in every verse, but it may not be that easy or it may not be that evident. Now the next verse describes a Jivan Mukta, a wise person. Earlier verses also described that, but now the next verse clearly describes a person, a wise person who is wise while living, liberated while living. So how did he become liberated? Let us read the third verse. Shashvannashvarameva vishvamakhilam nischitya vacha guroho nityam brahma nirantaram vimrushata nirvyaja shantatmana bhutam bhavicha duskrutam pradahata sanvinmaye pavake prarabdhaya samarpitam svapuhu ityesha manisha mama. How the wise person becomes free from the bondage of karma. Again, the first two lines describe how he gained that wisdom and how he became abiding in that wisdom. Shashvat Nashvaram Eva Vishwam Akhilam Nischitya Vacha Guroho. Guroho, of the Guru. Vacha, through the words. So, Guroho is what case? Sixth case. Vacha, third case. Guroho Vacha. Vak means the speech of the words. So, Guroho Vacha, through the words of the Guru. Nischitya, having determined, Nischaya means having determined, ascertained. What is it? Vishvam, Nashvaram, Eva Vishvam, Akhilam. Akhilam Vishvam, Nashvaram Eva. The whole universe is only perishable, Nashvaram. Shashvatam, imperishable, Nashvaram, perishable, mortal. So this has already been described earlier, that everything in the universe is constantly changing. That everything has a beginning and has an end, this we know. Certain things are born and they die very quickly, like those little, insects. Certain things have a longer life, even longer life, even longer life. But jatasya hi dhruva mrityu, whatever it is that is born will perish someday, today or tomorrow. So even the whole universe also is perishable. Because there is birth, everything has a birth, and therefore everything will perish in time. Maybe its life is pretty long and we may not see them perishing, but we know that whatever is born will die someday, perish someday. Jatasya hi dhruva mrityuhu. Death is certain for that which is born. So, guruhu vacha nischitya. May you ascertain this, that whatever it is in this universe is perishable, is mortal, is subject to death, subject to destruction, subject to end. What's the big deal, Swamiji? That's all right. So what's the big deal about that? About that means that it is not reliable. Shashvat constantly changing, nothing is the same even next moment also. Our Puja Swami used to say that human being is in search of the infallible. Infallible means that which is trustworthy. We are always from the birth in search of something that is trustworthy. Something I can trust. Something I can depend upon. Something I can look upon as a source of my comfort and protection. I'm in search of that. So little infant child, for that child, mother is God. And some little insect comes, runs to mother. And that's how child thinks that mother is infallible. Mother is most reliable. Mother is God. That worked for some time, then when a cockroach came, mother also screamed at cockroach. Then this poor child said, wait a minute, my mother also is fallible. She is also afraid. And the father, the hero came, picked up that, what is it? Cockroach. Wow, father is God, he is infallible, And someday a thief came. Father also, ran away. Father also is fallible. Slowly, and then teacher becomes infallible. We keep on putting our trust in one thing after the other, after second, after the third. And in course of time, everything reveals its fallibility. Because everything is perishable, everything is impermanent, everything is changing. Shashvan nashvaram eva vishvam akhilam. Akhilam vishvam shashvat nashvaram eva. The entire creation is constantly perishable or perishing. Nashvaram. So what, Swami? That means that it is changing, and so you cannot rely upon that. When something is not the same the next moment, then how can you think that it will be there with you when you grow old, and then it will protect you, and it will be, Nothing can do that. No, my wealth will do that, my children will do that, my insurance will do that, my this will do that, Maybe they will. But understand that everything is perishable, everything is mortal, everything is changing, and therefore nothing is that can be reliable, that you can find infallible. So why is this said? Because we are in search of Shashvatam, or that which is eternal. So if we examine what it is that we are seeking in life, we want something permanent. Is it not so? I don't think that I'm impermanent, unreliable. I want reliable things, lasting things. When we buy something, what's the life of this? How long it's going to, how long it's going to last? 5 years? 5-year guarantee? Oh, I'll buy it. No guarantee, I'll think about it. Meaning that I want things to be there, and that I can trust them, and that I'll be able to use this for 5 years or X, certain period of time. In short, we want everything to be permanent. I know nothing is permanent, so it is 5 years something. But in short, what I am searching for is that which is ever there, which I can rely upon, which will never desert me, which will never, disappoint me. So if you think what we are searching for, we will find that's what we are searching for. We are searching for something that is permanent, something that is eternal, something that is imperishable. And so the teacher says, this is what you are searching for. Look at the universe. Shashvat Nashvaram eva Vishwam, Akhilam Vishwam, Shashvat Nashvaram. The whole universe is constantly perishable, perishing. Because everything in the universe is born and everything is constantly rushing towards this end. But as well from womb to tomb, From womb to tomb. So that is the journey that a human being has. That is the journey that everything that is born has, which is all right. I mean, this is not a complaint, this is not a criticism, this is an observation. This is how it is. Shashvat, Nashvaram, Vishwamakilam, iti nischitya vacha guru. The Guru makes me see this fact. In a way I have experienced, but somehow it is not, it is not settled in my mind, and therefore I go back again to the old rut of depending upon things. But Guru makes me see this, that everything is perishable, and therefore nothing is infallible, and that you are searching for the infallible. So where is that? All drishyam, whatever you perceive, whatever you experience, what you objectify is all nashvaram, is all perishable, is going to come to an end someday. Then is there anything that is permanent? There has to be. Since I am born with the desire to seek permanent, it must be there. See, our Swami used to say that we have two kinds of desires. One is natural desire, other is cultivated desire. I told you, I think last night, that our hunger is a natural desire, so food is provided by Creator. Thirst is a natural desire, water is provided to quench the thirst. So whatever natural desires are there, always a provision to fulfill them. That Bhagavan has done. He doesn't give you teeth without giving you food. No. When he has given teeth, he also gives you the food. Otherwise teeth is there and nothing to eat, that would be some basic mistake in the creation. What do we call a fundamental error? But that's not so. Not in Ishvara's creation, it can be in our creation. So I'm searching for permanent, I don't find permanent anywhere. I'm searching for the reliable, infallible, everlasting, and I don't find it anywhere. So that's what the teacher first makes me see, that nothing, including Brahmaloka also. We have no concern about Swarga and Brahmaloka, so we don't talk about that. Because, who cares what's happened and who cares? Those were the days when people used to care for that. Therefore Lord Krishna, Brahma bhuvanan lokaha punaravartino Arjuna. Hey Arjuna, all the worlds up to Brahmaloka, including Brahmaloka, are all revolving, and therefore they are created, they are sustained, they dissolve. We don't have that agenda. In the Vedic times, people had the agenda of going to heaven. And there are several kinds of heaven. The highest heaven is called Brahmaloka. Seventh heaven is called Bhuhu Bhuva Suha Maha Jana Tapa Satyam, Satyaloka. So people aspired those days to go to heaven. They perform the rituals here so they can qualify to go to heaven. And If you do perform special rituals and special meditations and so forth, you can even go to Brahmaloka. Then also you will come back. Brahmavonalokaha punaravartino jana. No pitya kaunteya punar, but Lord Krishna says, when you attain me, then no punarjanma. Therefore the verse says that whole universe, including Brahmaloka, is also constantly changing, perishing. Iti guroho vacha nischitya. Ascertaining this very clear in our mind, therefore I don't look at anything for fulfilling my desire. That's all the idea is. And desire behind all desires is to get something eternal, something permanent, something reliable, something infallible, something trustworthy. There's a desire behind all desires, and therefore my basic desire cannot be fulfilled from things other than myself. Therefore he stops giving up, he gives up meditating upon the world. See, we always think of something that is important to us. We think of something that will, fulfill my desire, that will give me happiness. We always think of that. If you think what our mind thinks of, we'll find that from which we expect some happiness, fulfillment, that's what the mind thinks. It thinks of the opposite thing also, but that is because it wants that. In short, human being constantly thinks of something of the world. Think of my insurance, think of my bank account, think of my 401k, X, Y, Z, whatever I think is, will be useful to me. Not that you don't, but all I'm saying is that it will give you something, no doubt about that. It will give you security, it will. But the security that I want is I never want to die, I always want to be. Which I cannot be, but still I always want to be. And that's what, so nothing in the world can provide you. Who can provide that? The self can provide that. Therefore, you shift your attention from the world of, names and forms, because it cannot provide what you want. Therefore, shift your attention to that which is eternal, that which is trustworthy, which is infallible. There is something infallible. Understand that. That is yourself. Nischitya vacha guroho. That's from the words of the Guru. Ascertain this. Everything is perishable. That doesn't mean that I would hate that. That is an observation, recognition, and therefore establish a relationship accordingly. We should have a relation with everything. Not that something is perishable is his fault. That is the nature. So that I do not expect from that what it cannot give me. That's all it is. The world is fine as it is. You love the world as it is. But then, do not expect from the world what it cannot give you. Otherwise there are disappointments. So everything in the world is perishable, and therefore you accept that and relate to the world accordingly. For what is perishable, you depend upon that. That's all right. Understand that your desire is for the imperishable, ultimately. Therefore, nityam brahma nirantaram vimrushata. So this one does not, vimarsha means, he does not reflect upon, contemplate upon, meditate upon jagat or anything in the world for fulfilling his desire or thinking that that is what will solve my problem. Brahma. Nityam brahma nirantaram vimrushata. Vimarsha means deliberation, contemplation. He contemplates upon Brahman, recognizes that Brahman or the self is what I am searching for, is the infallible. Other things all nashvaram, this is shashvatam. Nityam Brahma nirantaram vimrushata. This nirantaram can go either way. Brahman is nityam meaning eternal, avinashi, indestructible, because it is not created. So what is not created will not end, not perish. Brahman or Ishvara or God or the Self or the Truth is uncreated, therefore is undying. Nirantaram also can mean which is always there. There is no antaram, it's constantly there. Or nirantaram, or constantly deliberating upon Brahman. So this person constantly deliberates upon Brahman, not deliberate upon this Vishwa. We always deliberate upon something, understand? In our mind, some kind of deliberation always goes on. And we deliberate upon that which we think is valuable to us. Whatever is most valuable, that becomes the object of my deliberation. It may change. Today I think this is most valuable, tomorrow I may think that is most valuable, but something other than me is looked upon as most valuable. That's why I always deliberate upon, think about, plan about what is that thing, how to get it, and all this planning is going on for getting something which is, I think, reliable, trustworthy, source of happiness, source of security. Which is all right, this is what you need in Vyavahara, but in Paramartha, you recognize that ultimately that thing is not designed to give you what you ask for. It's not anything's fault that Swamiji, I am disappointed from the world. I am disappointed. But that is not the problem with the world, or it is not the fault of the world, it is the fault of your expectation. You are disappointed because you expected something that thing was not capable of giving you. Disappointed in my son, Swamiji. So you thought that he will become a billionaire or something. I don't know what you expected him to be. And he is not. I'm disappointed. I thought he would be a doctor, did not become. I thought he would become a software engineer, did not become. I thought he would become this. What did he become? He became a teacher. You ask a child, what do you want? History is what? The father is a doctor, mother is a doctor, and the son or daughter is, I want to. What will you do with history? I have a passion for history. It won't give you any dollars, So, but parents think, what usefulness there is there. That fellow thinks I do what I like to do. Anyway, so we always deliberate upon something which we think is very valuable to us. Recognize that everything is perishable, everything is changing, and therefore nothing can give you basically what you want from them. It is not their fault, it is their nature. Recognize that nature, that's all, and respect. Shashvam, Nashwaram, everything is perishable. It's not anything's fault, that's what it is. Bhagavan has done that. Bhagavan has done this so that we get strokes, here and there in life. Bhagavan thinks that we will get attached to this mithya. Therefore now and then we get a shock. His Gada is there. Bhagavan is a Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. So when I run away from Bhagavan, one little stroke of Gada. He is calling me, he is not punishing me. We think Bhagavan is punishing us. Gada means a mace, So Lord Vishnu has a conch, a discus, a mace, and a lotus. So with mace, he wants to draw it. And first of all, with conch. But we are too deaf to that conch, It is so subtle then, and that in noise of this world, I can't even listen to his conch. He's hoping that someday I listen to his sound. I don't listen, then he uses his mace to draw my attention. If I don't do that, then of course his chakra is there. Nityam Brahma Nirantaram Vimrushata. What is it that my mind is thinking about? I can understand this teaching, this thing is meant for the one who possesses the viveka, vairagya. This may not be useful to us, or may not make much sense to us. Swamiji, this is all impractical. You expect us to always think of Brahman and thinking of my job, my insurance, my this, that, and think of Brahman is all impractical, which is true. This is for a fellow who has nothing else to do. But anyway, we will today or tomorrow, we have to reach that point where everything else loses importance for us. Right now, we have to live our life and many things are important. Swamiji, you get your bhiksha all right, and therefore you don't have to worry about things, but then, you have to. Which is true. Nityam Brahman Ninantaram Vimrushata. Constantly deliberate upon Brahman and not upon the world, not upon what the attractions the world has, not upon accomplishments of the world, not about the wealth and the name and fame and power and this and heaven and whatever the world has to offer. He doesn't deliberate upon them. We're talking about this person. Nirvyaj Shantatmana. That vimarsha or deliberation requires nirvyaja shantatmana. See, look at the translation. On the page 10, first line, vimrushata, reflecting upon. It is the present participle, vimrushata. Vimrushat, one who is deliberating upon, contemplating, reflecting. Vimarsha means to reflect. Vimrushata, one who is reflecting upon. So third case, by the one who is reflecting upon. How nirvyaj shantatmana. His atma, here the mind. One who enjoys a mind which is nirvyaja shanta. Nirvyaja shantatmana. So, this vyajam, vyaja is what? Vyaja means showing something inside and something outside. And so nirvyaja, the person whose mind is free from this kind of feeling and dealing and planning, etc. So one whose mind is clean, mind is honest. Nirvyaja, free from dishonesty, one whose mind is honest. So meaning that one mind whose mind is straightforward, one whose mind is transparent. What is inside is what is outside. And Dharva Shantat, Dharva his mind is tranquil. Because we have to, we have to have a facade, and so world sees me in some way and I know that I am something else, and so that conflict goes on in my mind. When I make myself appear in a way different from what I am, then a constant conflict goes on with my own self. That's called vyaja. That is the excuse that I have, and that's why I appear to be. I'm afraid that I cannot afford to be transparent. What if the world comes to know what's going on in my mind? What if the world comes to know how I really am? And therefore, I always have a facade, appear to the world in a way that the world will accept me, happy. The one who is transparent, meaning that what he appears outside is what is inside. Honest, simple, transparent. So this is one of the requirements, I guess, of Vimrusyata, contemplating, the contemplating takes place when the mind is free from vyaja, free from this facade, free from acting, free from showing different from what it is, one who is transparent. And therefore Shantatmana, one whose Atma or mind is Shantam, tranquil, because free from conflict. So I will talk about that, but this freedom, so having a mind that enjoys tranquility because it is free from conflict. Free from conflict with one's own self. Conflict takes place inside where I constantly fight with my own self. Because I am my most strict critic. Who is my strictest critic? I am there. I am always watching myself and making commentary, and running commentary is going on in my mind about my own self. So that is why the mind is not, when I find myself, I am not what I want to see myself to be, I become unhappy with my own self. That's what creates the ashanti, creates the agitation. Nirvyaja shantatmana, one who enjoys a mind that enjoys that tranquility, freedom from all the conflicts. So here now we are told about basically the Shravanam and Mananam and the Nididhyasanam. So this verse tells us now the means of knowledge. Earlier verses told us about the Mahavakya. This verse tells about the means of knowledge. We will continue our discussion tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.